name is Marcus Spahn, and I'm what we call the chief nerd and co-owner of Tom Anderson Guitarworks. We had good friends of ours over for dinner, and they alerted me to, have you been to this new German restaurant in town? And I'm like, oh really, there's a German restaurant in town? I was like, all right, let's see it, what is it? And then she gave me the name Twisted Meats. I'm like, that's an interesting name for a German restaurant. And of course I looked it up, and then I saw it as Döner Kebab, which is one of my favorite foods when I go back to Germany. So I went by and I saw the pictures on the wall, and I'm like, dang, you know, that very much looks like the area of Germany that I'm from, that Ruhrgebiet, the Ruhr region. So I think I came back maybe a few days later to eat again at Twisted Meats, and then I met the two guys. I think I've met Lars first, and I said oh, so where are you guys from? And he said Wesel, and I'm like, oh, that's about 4 miles from where I grew up. I grew up in Rheinberg, which is just on the other side of the Rhine River. I told him that I built guitars, and then I think we did a little catering with Twisted Meats. I invited all of my employees to go and check it out because I liked it so much. And then later on, the guys were, hey, any chance that you could build us a Twisted Meats guitar? And so this is how the Twisted Meats guitar came along.
Hi, Marcus.
Oh, hey guys. I'm just looking at the specs for your guitar.
All right.
So we have the Friends and Family Twisted Meats guitar, black neckback, which we usually don't do, but of course for you we will. Gold custom logo, looks pretty good to me. There you go.
Nice.
So when we build a guitar, we always want to start making the neck first. The neck is eventually what is under the most tension. And also, if you think about a neck, usually a guitar neck is made out of materials like maple, like this one for example. But you can see there's also, actually on this one, it's hard to see because it's black, but the maple is the backing wood, and then there's a black hard fingerboard laminated on top. So the problem is, if you laminate 2 species of wood together and then you carve a 3-dimensional shape like a neck out of it, the neck might actually, or the wood might move a little bit. And so what we do is we carve the neck first and get it into an almost finished state. And then we let it sit for 30 days so that we can inspect after 30 days if removing all this material from the neck and laminating something else on top, so on and so forth, actually did something to the piece of wood that we don't care for. So we let it sit for 30 days, we inspect it and make sure that it's still a good neck after 30 days. So that's the first step. Once the neck is done and we inspected it after 30 days and we figure that it's good, we then start carving the body. That's a reasonably simple process in this case. This body of this guitar is made out of alder. It's a wood that grows in the Pacific Northwest, so we're, think about like Washington, Oregon State, that's where that wood comes from. It's a very classic vintage tone wood used since the 50s on guitars. There, it's pretty much as simple as taking the piece of wood, bringing it to the right thickness, and then we use what is called computer numeric control, or CNC machines, to carve the bodies. So they go onto the CNC machine from the front, which is where we carve the general shape of the guitar out, all the cavities we need to fit pickups, electronics. Then we turn the body over. There's a few more cavities that we need to cut there, and then the body is done. Once the neck and the body are what we call matched, that's what we call that process. Once we have a neck that belongs to a body, they will go into paint. Figuring out the paint or the finish on the guitar is probably one of the toughest choices. And mind you, when customers order a guitar from us, there's only one of maybe 40 different things they need to decide on. So paint already is hard to figure out as it is. As I remember when we sat down and the guys ordered the guitar, I think eventually we ended up on the idea of hey, let's use the Twisted Meats colors, right? So red, black, and a little bit of white and gold look good to complement the whole thing. In this case, this paint is reasonably complicated. It's called Candy Apple Red. It's a multi-stage paint, so the guitar gets a base coat. One thing about our finishes, we shoot polyester finishes. That's actually one of the inventions that Tom worked with Bob Taylor on of Taylor Guitars. It's a dual cure paint system, so The paint is actually catalyzed, so it'll cure by itself, but you can throw it into an ultraviolet light source and it actually cures completely throughout within 45 seconds. In this particular case, we did something a little bit unusual for the guys, which is a painted neckback. Usually we don't do that, but on these guitars, or in this particular one, it just looked really cool. So the neck here is painted black, and the top of the fingerboard is actually unfinished. So this is the raw wood that you see. Obviously, we had to apply the logo. So those are transfer stickers, just like our logo at the top. And from there on out, it goes into final assembly. While we paint the guitar, we of course make sure that we wind all the pickups that we need. There's what we call a switching harness buried in this pickguard here. The pickguard itself is also carved here, so we get the raw material and carve this on our CNC machines. And so when all the parts are done, we take the body, we take the neck, we take the pickguard, the electronics, the pickups, and start final assembly. That is something that we did, I think, like a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, basically the builder who builds it will pick all the parts and start putting it together until it pretty much looks like this. And then the last step is that it'll come into this room where we currently sit for final quality control and setup. When you test guitars, it's actually not so much about like playing something you enjoy. It's more about playing the same thing over and over again, so that you kind of know what you expect to hear. And if you don't hear what you would expect to hear, then you know something is wrong, and you need to look into it. First thing we do is a visual inspection. After that, we do a technical inspection. So what that entails is we would look how much relief is on the neck. So this is something where you can actually use the string as a straight edge. You push the string down relatively high up on the neck and relatively low, and then you see how much you can actually push the string down. You want the neck, if you look at the guitar, you want the neck to be a little bit front bowed, just so that there's no buzz. We look what the action height is. So this is the height of the strings over the frets. You want this to be as low as possible so that it's easy to play, but you don't want it to be too low because then it'll buzz. We look at pickup height. So this is how far are the pickups away from the strings. Again, this is an electric guitar, so it works with magnetism. If you actually bring the pickups too close to the strings, the pickups might actually have enough magnetic pull to again make the guitar buzz and have like almost like a warbly sound, so we dial that in. And then the last thing we check is what is called intonation. After that is test playing. Usually what I do is, electric guitar, I start out playing something clean, so no distortion, no gain, something like this. And then last but not least, I'm sort of the high gain tester here. I grew up as an 80s metal kid, so we put a lot of gain on the signal and see if we hear what we want to hear. So this would sound something like this. Sounds pretty good too. So as much as I hate it, but I guess I have to let it go and give it to the guys.
I wanted a song, but
song? I can play a song of my old album.